Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Laha?
Present.
Trustee Pazmino? Present. Trustee Rogers? Present. Trustee Fialco?
Present.
Trustee Reinders? Present. Trustee Consolino? Present. Mayor Yukich?
Present.
And then Clerk Bozen, if you'd like to do your roll call.
Here.
Okay, we're all set. Are there any amendments to this agenda?
Yes, Mayor.
We're doing this one? Okay.
On page 5 of the IGA, we would like to amend where it says township responsibilities. Yes. D. Oh, well, this is the agenda. This counts, right? This is the agenda.
He was looking at the previous agenda.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
In terms of the amendments to the agenda.
Okay, all right.
We're going to get the IGA, we're going to be getting into.
I thought, which is this?
There's
Okay.
only one thing, so there wouldn't,
Okay.
It's fine.
till we get to something.
Okay.
It's like who's
All right, so we
coughing?
still have some questions that
I
they
think I
have
might
on
have a
it.
tough time with it.
Okay, and it's going to be who? Explain them what it's going
I
to
don't
be.
want to sit here coughing.
Okay, Steve, you want to go and take over? We're at D, review and discussion of the IGA between Homer Township and the Village of Homer Glen regarding the transfer of Homer Township park properties.
If I can just interrupt, if Steve, if you can speak into a microphone though, because the last few recordings, we couldn't hear people.
Trouble hearing you guys, I'm sorry.
Okay,
You're like mumbling, but not mumbling, but yeah.
Muffled.
we're getting muffled.
Yeah. You got to turn it on.
You want me to go over the document? You want me to go over the document? Is that,
I believe that's what the mayor had requested.
This came from Matt. There was a memo as well.
I didn't get the memo.
And that's fine, and I think also the village manager has a memo in the packet talking about it, if there's anything you wanted to highlight as well, Matt.
Yeah, my memo is just kind of a background on the potential cost and impact it'll have on the village. I know the revised IGA that we received Friday as part of the packet addressed some of the concerns that we had that the board had last meeting. So I think I'm happy to answer any questions about the costs and impacts of it. I think the supervisor can go over the details, but I think the most recent IGA addresses a lot of the, reflects a lot of what the board wanted based on the last discussion and the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting.
okay, do you want me to start in the beginning going through this each line, or do you want me to just summarize it, or how do you guys want me to do it?
I don't necessarily think you need to go through the whereases and things like that. We can probably
All
just
right, well,
go from...
we can go to the whereases. Whereas the,
No, I'm saying we don't need to
No,
go
you
through
said
that.
skip the whereases.
skip
We
the
don't, we don't need to go through the whereases.
All right. Okay. The reason that we're doing this is because originally, if Homer Glen existed, I think I brought this up numerous times before, but just so everybody here knows, if Homer Glen existed when these park donations happened, Homer Glen would have gotten those donations at no cost, and it would have belonged to Homer Glen. And so I look at it like Homer Glen should have these parks. Their total value was somewhere around $10 million in the land, and it's a lot of money, but that's what the village would have accumulated over the years if they had a park before they were incorporated. And even after they were incorporated, some of it still went to the township because they weren't ready to accept it. So that's the history of why we're doing this. because it should have been done like that a long time ago, because townships just don't have parks. It's a city or a park district. So I'm trying to do the right thing, and what will end up happening with all this is that this year our park levy will go down probably about 75%, and the only reason it'll be maybe, I'm trying to get it as low as I can get it. I'm just trying to throw this number out. But I'm thinking if we can get it as low as possible, but we have to take care of Morris Park for a time being, because there's a deal going on between Lockport Township Park District and us and the Lockport Junior Porters, but the property itself is convoluted because it's unincorporated and city of Lockport. So every time we try to do something, it doesn't go with the zoning and the other people. And so that's why that park is taking so long. But both Lockport Township Park District and the Junior Porters, and the city of Lockport, for that matter, are not giving any negative signs. Everyone's trying to work together to get it to happen, but to get it to happen, it's going to be a little bit of a chore, I suppose.
Steve, what park was that?
Morris. And that's in the city of Lockport, so it's not even on your thing, but I'm just saying why we're going to have that, and then we're going to take care of part of the IGA when I think it's on page 7, but it says in there that the township will maintain the parks until May. So May 1st, the village will get the parks and get the deeds at the same time, because we're going to have a special town meeting on the 22nd over here at the Village Hall. And the special town meeting of the electors, after they vote to allow us to transfer it, because that's what our statutes say, so we're going to be able to legally give everything to the village. Now, if something happens where the electors say no, then the whole deal falls apart, because it's just like with the road district. When there was a lawsuit, that was part of what the suit was about, that there was no special town meeting, there was no, the procedures that need to happen weren't exactly followed. That was just part of it, but I don't want to take any chances of doing anything wrong, so we're going about it the right way, and our lawyer, he holds me over the head and says, no, you do it this way, and I don't argue with a lawyer. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So at the 22nd, which is real soon, we're going to get a vote, transfer all the parks from the electorate, and our board is going to vote today to proceed, I would hope, because we're going to go over the IGA, and I believe that everything in here, there's some lines that'll get changed a little bit, but they ain't no big deal. We're going to work it out. It'll be passed by us to proceed, and then at our board meeting Monday, we're going to, we're going to do the finalization with like an ordinance number. So everything will be in line, so it'll be totally legal. Nobody can come back and say we did something wrong. So that's what's going on there. Let's see.
Steve, a quick question. Are all of the parks that are going to be transferred, are they already within the corporate limits of the village of Homer Glen?
Yes.
Okay, just me. I didn't know if there was anything in unincorporated.
Yeah, they're all in the corporate limits, and some of them are pretty big, as you guys, it's in here, it shows you how many acres they are. Some are really big. Right now, they're maintained okay. There's nothing wrong with them, per se. I mean, I don't know exactly, because I went and looked at them, and I don't see like they're a disaster. They're not, I don't see unsafe things there. But again, I'm not you guys. So in the meantime, what we're going to be doing is maintaining the parks. And we're going to make sure that everything's maintained properly. Like this week, it turns out that the well at the sports thing was screwed up, and so we have to replace all the pipes under there. And so we just do it. We're not going to say, hey, Homer Glen's going to take it over in 6 months, to hell with them. We're not going to do that. We're going to make sure when we hand that over to you, it's going to be in good condition, and you're not going to have major problems. We put mulch all over on our parks. If you went out and looked at them, we have new mulch on it. So, you know, I read the report, and the report said, like, Central Park needed 1 more inch of mulch. And I'm thinking, 1 inch is about, you know, it's a tiny little, how do you measure it? And I'm not a park guy, so I'm sure they can figure it out. But that's the kind of stuff that's wrong. That ain't a big deal, because if you put the other inch on it, it'd probably go over the sides and then you have it in the grass. You know, so that wouldn't be any good either. So, you know, we're going to try and get everything all shaped up all the way. Actually, right now it is for the most part. Our biggest problem was getting the grass cut. You know, like we have all that, we have 4 open space properties, and we have the senior center, and we have the township stuff, and then all the parks, and we have 3 guys. So that's why. Now, we could do it, and we'd have to hire more people, because we have 4 open space properties. Now, how many acres is that? You know, I didn't add it all up, but it's somewhere like 800 acres. So we got to maintain that. The Trantina farm, we maintain that. That's open space. We're going to put a well in there too. We're putting a well at the dog park. You know, there's lots of stuff that we're in the process of doing to enhance the township, the open space stuff. So I don't know what else to say about the parks, other than that you're going to get them in good shape. And I brought my budgets and stuff here in case there was questions on budgets. And frankly, it's something that should have happened a long time ago, and it didn't. But you know, under my board's leadership, it's going to happen. So I'm really pleased to work with the village, and they're very amicable, I guess you'd say. Everybody's happy about it, and so I'm happy about it too, and I think it's going to benefit everybody in Homer Glen. So anybody have any other questions without me going through everything on this thing? Or do you want me to go through everything?
I don't think you necessarily have to go through, because I think that we get, you know,
I know.
The only thing that I was talking about was that we made it perfectly clear under the township responsibilities that they were going to basically, prior to the commencement date, that they were going to, I'd like to see it in writing on here. I mean, I know it's referred to in a few places, but what I'd like to see is that, that the township does agree to continue to maintain, manage, and repair the operations of the parks according to our standards. I know that John Robinson had said that there were some things that he needed, that needed to be repaired, some now, some, you know, at a later date. But I would really like to have this amended to include that in the IGA.
I thought it said, Russ, did that say that anywhere? I thought it did.
It refers to it when it says prior to commencement, you know, just a line here or there, but I would really like that amendment in there.
We'd like to make sure it's specific
Yes.
to our list that we have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem putting it, if it's not in, I don't have a problem with that, because I just told you, we're going to
Yeah.
maintain it. I mean, we're kind of limited as far as how much money we have, you know, to what we can do. There's a point, well, winter's coming anyway, but there's a point when, you know, we don't have the money to do some of this stuff. But our guys are out working all the time. You know, they're doing stuff.
Now, I just want to clarify, I have a question. So are we referring to maintaining it as is, or are we referring to the laundry list, for lack of a better
No,
what's going
both,
on here?
actually both, because we want them to continue to maintain them, but also John had given them a list of some of the things that he thought needed to be addressed immediately.
They were a priority because of safety
Yeah,
concerns.
because of safety, yeah.
Okay, so just the safety issues, not,
Yeah, I mean, if there's something unsafe, we're going to fix it right
The
away.
safety issues, and also just to guarantee that the parks are going to be maintained until May of 2022.
I think you probably also want to make reference to the item, Steve, that you talked about. You're putting a well in one of the parks
Right.
and well at the dog
It's
park.
not a park, it's a
Open space.
open space. But I
Okay.
mean, I have,
Those items as well.
what that is kind of irrelevant in what we're doing with open space, but I was just trying to make a point that we have a lot of land. We have well over 1,000 acres of land. And so that's a lot of land to take care of. So, you know, when the village gets what they should have had all along, it's going to relieve the township somewhat. But there's also economy of scale, which the village is going to be able to do it for less money than we're doing it. So, just so that's why I brought up about the tax, that we're going to be cutting that tax this year, probably 75%, and next year we're just going to eliminate it. You know, so the people in Homer Glen and Homer Township, but Homer Glen is all Homer Township, so we're going to knock like a third of that levy out. So your taxes will go down considerably. Yep. Now, if the village uses the stuff, their equipment from the Public Works to do some of this stuff, that's better equipment than we use right now for the parks. Mm-hmm. You know, it's better quality, it's newer, it's everything. So, you know, I think we should be in good shape as far as, the whole idea is save people money.
Can I ask a question for clarification? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Trustee, are you okay with me going?
Yeah, I know.
Reinders, that list you were referring to, that's the inspection report that you have, that's included in the packet. And Steve, have you seen this inspection report?
That's exactly what I wanted to clarify.
I saw this,
okay.
but this was for everything Homer Glen has.
Right, so we're going to have to make sure that we have John prioritize what needs to be done. We're not talking about everything. We're talking about,
Right,
thank you, yeah, we're talking about
Wish list.
priority,
Priority
safety,
and things that are of safety
like
concern.
things that need to be immediately done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to realize something, you're getting $10 million worth of property. Just remember that number, 10 million. That's what that property is worth. And that's based on $157,000 an acre. And I took the 7 off instead of 150, so I could just round the numbers off. But you're looking at a lot of value, and the village couldn't afford ever probably for 10 or 15 years to go out and buy all that kind of land. So now when your park donations come in, you could tell them if somebody's going to build something like close to one of these parks, tell them we don't need you give us the land, give us the money.
No, I understand. I'm just asking for clarification,
I mean,
just to make sure.
there's a lot of value to this.
No,
Also,
I think
you
it's
know
a
what,
great
also-
gift. I really do. I think it's amazing. We just want to make sure that we have our standards at least met prior to.
Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to meet, I don't know what standards you guys are using, but I mean, when we go to fix something, we're going to fix it to the safety standards that we're told, you know, or
Want to have John come up?
we have people come out and bid the jobs, and they do everything according to.
Do you guys mind if we have John come up and speak about the inspection list and safety concerns? Do you mind if John Robinson speaks in reference to the safety concerns and the inspection list?
Yeah, you know what, the safety concerns, you know, one of the things I would say right now is that we can fix most of them because most of them don't cost a lot of money. But if we start getting this stuff that costs a real lot of money, we don't have enough money to do it. So I don't want to put us in a situation where I tell you we're going to fix everything to whatever standards John goes by, and then we don't have the money to do it.
We have the list, right?
We have a list.
If I
yes.
could just touch on that, the inspection report lists a whole bunch of changes that we'd recommend, but the safety issues primarily was the mulch to make sure the depth is proper, so that might already be addressed by what you've just stated earlier, and then some of the playground border had some issues, so those are the two real
The metal
safety
railroad
issues.
tie thing,
And
yeah.
that stuff is all minor stuff. So
Right.
what I think would happen is, you know, if we're going to go forward with it, we would get John to go with our parks maintenance guys. And, well, the head, his name is Stan. Once we put them together and let them go, and then John could show them what they need. And then we can do some of it, maybe all of it, but I don't want to say we're going to do everything because I don't know.
I think it'd be important to have like getting together.
But what he's talking about there is, it's not a lot of money. You're talking
I agree.
about.
What I'm saying is, but I think those should be laid out so that everybody's on the same page, that we said, these are the things that you guys can afford to take care of, and these are the things that aren't going to be taken
Well,
care of.
the problem, there's a problem because we have, if you look at our budgets here, we levied $316,000, but we use our park guys and park stuff to do more than the parks. So, I mean, I I'm in there for 7 months now. I don't know what it even cost to do it exactly, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not doing one thing. It's like, you guys have Heritage Park, and you got this building, and you got them other parks, and so now how much does it cost you to do only Heritage Park? Well, you guys probably separated it out.
Steve,
Or had it separated.
real quick, let's have John come up and speak just and go over the safety concerns. Would you do that, John, please?
Just so it's not overlooked, though, on page 3, it's already built into the recommended.
Come on, John, go ahead. Go up there.
I've got a list for him, I'll get it.
He's got it, she's got it.
Do you want your list? Sure. Okay.
Hey, Steve, Steve, you could take a look at page 3 also. It's built into this report already. The recommended next steps
Yeah.
is to work with John Robinson, the township to make necessary safety repairs prior to the acquisition. So
Right.
it is built in there somewhat
Right.
already.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the memo, it's not actually in the,
So what you're looking for basically is to have that verbiage moved into the IGA? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
And that's not a problem.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Can
Yeah.
we work that list out in this meeting?
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
It just
Yeah, we're-
Eric,
we're
and we
not
would
gonna
just
be
list
able
it as an
to,
exhibit then?
We're not going to be able to sit here at this meeting and say, all right, in this park you need to put mulch around a tree, and another one you got to fix this little, I mean, it ain't going to
Generalize.
here.
No, Steve, the agreement I'm hearing is to take that recommended step, that first bullet, and to put it into the IGA instead of it just
Yeah.
being a bullet point.
That's fine with
Everybody
me.
okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I would think that's fine with my board, or did I get a consensus from my board? You guys got okay with that? We're all okay with it.
Okay. All right, so then we move that.
Trustee Consolino, to your comment, whether it's in an exhibit or whatever, I think what we're going to have at the end here is when the board meeting comes, and if you decide to approve it, I think you're going to have to approve it on both sides, subject to final attorney modification to incorporate these things, because I think it's going to be too difficult to say, we want this, we want this, we want this exact verbiage of what we're talking about. And with that, I'm just going to, I'll
kind
shut
of,
up and let
we're-
John talk here.
But the reason that we're doing this now is that we need the Village of Homer Glen to agree to the document, and that way when I do my levy, because I got to start preparing a levy now. I don't want to have to levy for the parks that I'm not going to have.
No, and I'm
That
not
would be
saying we're
totally
delaying it
wrong.
at all, I'm just
So
making sure
this
that.
meeting is the meeting that, when it goes forward, it votes on it, then I can start preparing my levy. Because I don't want to be preparing my levy when it's due December 15th. I want to start on November 15th and think I'm going to do a good job. You know what I'm talking about? So if the board approves this today at the 7 o'clock meeting, then we're moving forward, and then we'll have the meeting on the 22nd, and that would seal the deeds coming to you guys, which is the most important part of this. And then, once you guys got the, the okay to get the deeds, then we transfer everything on May 1st.
I agree that should be the intent, to get it done today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I have no problem with Rosie said move that in, my board concurs.
Yeah.
So,
And
we
I
can
think that
add that
basically would
in.
cover it, because that covers the safety issues. I think that would definitely cover it, and I think we would be fine with that.
Yeah, and we're not jerks, we all live here. It's not like we're enemies.
Well, as for the money end of it, no one knows until the year goes by.
I'm sorry, George.
Right now, with the money that you're talking about, we don't know what it's going to cost for a year either.
Right.
We're all on a learning curve right now, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, I think so.
So, John, some of the problems that you're talking about, we're not trying to get all these parks like Heritage Park. We want a place that the kids can go play, run.
What are the immediate safety issues? I think that's what we're looking for, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a certified playground safety inspector, which is a national certification class and test that I took. And what I did is it covers playgrounds. It doesn't cover grass and benches and everything. So basically, most of the issues, like Lammers Park. When I went to Lammers Park, the biggest issue there, well, it was actually nothing that's a safety issue at Lammers Park. There are other issues at Lammers Park, but nothing that if we took a playground over today, it has to meet the specifications and it has to meet the codes today. Or we have to put a fence around it until we fix it.
Okay.
So the issues at Lammers Park are not anything that, because there's no playground there. There's other things there that we should address, but nothing that has to do with a playground inspection. When we went to Gorham Park, the playground, he needs additional safety mulch. There's wood timbers around that actually hold the playground safety mulch in place. There's a few of them that were rotted out, and there was some metal brackets holding them together. A couple of the metal brackets were bent out, and they would have to be addressed. The only other problem that we found there, which had nothing to do with the playground, but there's a sidewalk that leads up to the playground, and there's a crack, and on one side of the sidewalk, it's raised about 1/2 inch. Okay? That, like I said, has nothing to do with a playground inspection, but it's something that we should address sooner than later, because somebody's going to trip, fall, whatever, on the sidewalk.
We have a contract for mud jacking.
Right.
I mean, is it something
Right.
that
I
we
think
could-
they're done for the season already, but that's not like it's something we couldn't do first thing out the door.
Okay.
That wouldn't be something you would expect the township to take care of as far as the sidewalk, right?
No, I'm just, you guys asked me what the safety stuff is, so I'm just letting you know. But the playground issue is basically the mulch and then the wood timbers around it that hold the mulch in place.
All right, thank you, John.
Culver Park is, it's basically the same thing. There was some issues with the mulch. Just, most of them are just mulch, and that's something we do every year too. We have to add a certain percentage of mulch every year to the parks.
What is the requirement, John? How many inches of mulch is
It's
supposed to be
not
out
so
there by
much-
code?
It's not so much inches as it is when we buy it, they say it's tested to X depth, right? So depending on where they were buying their mulch to where we're buying our mulch, like we looked at the sports complex today, because today we were able to get out there to look at the sports complex, and there's a playground there. And that playground is good, but the problem is a lot of the mulch is deteriorated. So that mulch actually has to get dug out and replaced. You can't just pile more mulch on top of it, because the stuff below, once it degrades, it becomes dirt. Once it becomes dirt, it no longer has the spring to it, the safety measure to it.
So you measure it with the compression ratio, or you don't go by inches, right?
No, it's by compression.
Okay.
So, and it's more of we can have a company come out and test it. They do drop tests, and it's more of kind of a feel and how it is when you're walking on it. And the more it deteriorates, the more you just have to dig it out. So.
And when we're talking mulch, we're talking the rubber mulch on
No,
all locations?
these are all of their parks are wood fiber mulch, except for Sendra. Sendra has rubber mulch, but they're all wood fiber mulch.
That would be my turn.
So, yeah, because the rubber mulch doesn't degrade as fast. So,
Yeah,
That's our dream.
yes.
trying to find it on here. Yeah, so Culver Park, like I said, was the wood mulch, and then there was one piece of equipment that had loose hardware on it. There was a spring rider that had some loose hardware on it that you probably tighten up in 5 minutes with an Allen wrench. Center Park didn't have a problem with the play area. And Yangus Park was a similar. It was the play area needs mulch, and the wood timbers need to be addressed. There are other things like the swing chains would have to be replaced, but that's not something we have to replace, first day, because once they start to get rust on them, we replace them. It's recommended that they be replaced. So we do the same thing every 3 years. We have to change out our swing chains because they start to rust. So it's just our environment.
John, could you tell us what your inspection was today of these sports fields? You conducted an inspection today of the sports
Bill
fields?
Baber and I walked through the buildings today.
Yeah?
We didn't find anything terrible, horrible, evil. The concession stand needs to be painted. I mean, you know,
Okay.
there was nothing, like I said, the worst thing that I found was just that the playground mulch has to be addressed.
And the fields are in good condition?
The fields themselves, I don't have I mean, they look fine. I mean, I don't have expertise to inspect grass fields, but they looked fine. We
And
looked
Steve?
we looked at the, well, right, right,
Right.
right.
And what about the sign, the signage, the big sign, the sports?
Scoreboard.
The scoreboard.
What?
Oh, the scoreboards? You know, we didn't look at the scoreboards because I know they were looking to replace them. The two, I can say that the two on this east edge here that are leaning or whatever, that used to be the main drainage area back there, so it was probably a bad place to put scoreboards. But now that, since Heritage Park, the drainage was completely redone, the water doesn't go that way anymore, the water goes that way.
Okay.
So that area is essentially cut off from the drainage that it used to have. If anybody remembers when this was a golf course, there used to be that big wet area there all the time. We jokingly used to call it Lake Woodbine. But all that water drained out and through the township and then on down the line. So that water doesn't drain that way anymore. The water now drains this way. So that area will dry out over time, and if they repair it or whatever with the structure, they shouldn't have that same problem again.
Rosie, if you recall, the last meeting we had here, at the Parks meeting it was, HAC, Andrew Rodadero, said that they were planning to fix that.
Right.
And they have people to do it already. You know,
My concern was that there was just no safety issues at this point in time.
no, it's not going to fall, but it's like John said, it was put in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
But it's in the, they're not going to fix it right now, but it's in the process.
No, they did say that
They're
they
gonna
were,
take care of it.
they were going to fix it. I just wanted to make sure that there was really no safety issue at this time.
Yeah, they're not going to fall over on anybody, no. It's just they got heaved, you know, from the freeze and thaw, they got heaved out of the ground, which is probably also part of the electrical problems they have, because with the pulling on the pipes and the pulling on the wires in the pipes and everything else, I'm sure that had a negative effect on those scoreboards. So, but no, they're not, they're still deep enough in the ground that they're not going to fall over. So, I know that but that's one of the things, like we said, there's other things we can address, and we can address them over time, and we can budget for them.
Right.
Where we don't have to fix it all day one.
So pretty much from what John said is that we have it's not a safety issue, I don't think. It's something that needs to be addressed though, right?
Like, you mean the scoreboards?
No, the mulch.
Well, the mulch is a safety, that's required to be there, so that is a safety issue, and those...
So that's kind of what we have to work on, but mulch isn't, you know, you're not talking about the end of the world with that, so we should be able to get that addressed.
Right.
You know, because we have pretty much maybe 2 or 3 weeks left, so we'd have to get bids. So it would either get done this year, or it would be done in the spring. I don't know which one, because we'd have to go out.
Would it make sense to do it now,
But
before the winter, or after, spring?
Spring,
I
definitely.
would say spring definitely. Spring definitely.
Yeah,
I was just told we
With
should
the rainy
probably
season?
figure getting
do the bids now.
done in
Yeah.
the spring.
Yeah.
That way, snow and stuff doesn't wreck it more. But that's not a lot of money. You know, I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not, you know, something that we should let get in the way of making this deal.
But it's something you feel you can commit to, correct? Okay. Okay.
So maintenance-wise, are we saying this is all we need to proceed?
Yeah.
And
Maintenance-wise.
if something comes up, everything would be addressed. He checks it out constantly just to make sure.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, there's other things on the list that we should address, right? But it's things, you know, we were looking at the immediate safety issues, right? The immediate safety issue in the park and in the play area. Okay, if a bench is rusting out, we can budget and change a bench, right? Or change benches or whatever. I mean, like I said, when you go down the list, there's things there, you know, a broken gate, we can repair or we can replace it, right? I mean, but it's not something that has to be done immediately first day. We were looking at this, we made an all-encompassing list when we went out there, but that doesn't mean we have to fix all of that stuff on May 2nd.
John, can I ask you this, as far as the mulch, do you keep that like salt, or do you just order that when you...
No, we order it from Homer Tree Service, because you don't just use regular brown mulch. It's a special formulation, if you can believe that. It's how it's ground, how the pieces are. There's no sharp points. It's like a triple ground product. And the manufacturer, whether it be Homer Tree Service or wherever you buy it, they certify it that it's to ANSI 2075, which is the standard for wood fiber mulch.
So this is nothing we have in stock?
No.
Okay.
No, but there's a pile bigger than this building at Homer Tree Service.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Can I ask a question? Does anybody care? Has anybody looked into the cost of maybe not using mulch? Maybe using like what we have at Stonebridge? I think what did you say it's called? Pour and play?
Yeah, pour in place is a rubber surface that Stonebridge Park has, and then a couple places out here at Heritage Park. Significantly more expensive, but it's better for accessibility.
I was just going to say, I mean, ideally, that's something we probably can take care of ourselves. I don't think we can expect, the township to do that, but
definitely not.
I think that that's definitely something we should have on our radar. Mulch is not accessible for wheelchairs and strollers. Anyone who's ever tried to push a stroller on mulch will know exactly what I'm talking about. And same thing with wheelchairs. So ideally, in a perfect world, my heart would love to have what you're talking about.
Something we should have as a goal.
But what I was saying,
Using money for, absolutely.
Exactly, yeah.
Steve, it's a different rubber mulch, but what I'm saying is instead of making them, if they're going to replace the mulch anyways, if we looked into it prior to, maybe they can fix something else and we take care of it. Just a suggestion.
I think what he had said though earlier is right now as is, we would have to rope off some of these playgrounds because they actually don't meet the safety standards. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Okay, so that would be our main concern, is making sure that these playgrounds are still...
Just for the exchange.
Exactly.
Get the money.
100%, yeah.
Right. The way to go is, at this point, would be to replace, add into the mulch so we meet the safety standard. One of the things that I've discussed with Matt in the past, and I've discussed with the Parks Committee, is the National Recreation and Playground Association says that parks should be refurbished every 15 to 20 years based on your weather. So some of our parks are getting to that point, or getting close to that point. So at that point is where I would say, okay, because you can't put pour in place with wood timbers, right? So if we were going to put in pour in place, you'd have to pour concrete curbs. Right. Well, if we're going to put in concrete curbs, then we would have to say, okay, because right now it's just this square playground area. Are we going to expand it? Are we going to add different play equipment? Are we going to keep the equipment that's there? We're going to add on to it. That's when you put your concrete curbs in and you do your pour in place, when you do the refurbishment. Because then, I agree that the accessibility issue is in question, and that's always discussed, but it makes it safe for now. And there's some ideas that I have that I'd like to discuss with the Parks Committee when it comes to the accessibility stuff. But we need to bring it up to the minimum right now, which is to meet the requirement. And once we meet the requirement, then we can move forward from there. And although honestly, pour in place isn't the end all either, because we have some stuff we have to fix with pour in place that's been put in. I don't think it lasts as long as some of the manufacturers say it does. So while it's a great product and it's great for accessibility, we just have to be super vigilant that it's installed properly.
John, just for the record for tonight, what is the code that we're following for the mulch?
Well, the ANSI...
Where does that come from? The NC?
It's an ANSI standard. It's F2075, which is a requirement for the requirements for wood fiber mulch.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
no problem.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Can I make a couple comments? These are things that obviously council and I would have to work through, but I want to make sure when we're looking at township responsibilities and the village responsibilities, under both of those, there's indemnification clauses for both sides. I want to make sure those are consistent, so both sides are kind of indemnifying the same thing, but we want to make sure that we're clear that what's happening here is on the commencement date, when the property's transferred, anything prior to that is going to be the township's responsibility in terms of indemnification. I just want to make sure it's clear in here. Everything after that is going to be the village. So you're going to have situations where, for example, somebody gets injured on April 15th, they file a lawsuit against the owner of the property, which is, say, a month later, it's now the village. But this happened underneath the township's watch. So we want to make sure that's clear, because there's some differences in here in terms of the indemnification, but I just want to make sure that's not going to be an issue, to make sure those are consistent.
Well, it's not an issue, because what's going to happen is I'm going to try to get it done early spring. You know,
No,
depends on the weather, but it's,
I'm talking about the insurance, so if somebody's, you got me? All right.
It means that if prior to the township actually giving the deed, so like on April 15th or something, someone trips and falls at one of the places.
okay.
Does something and they try to sue. They don't file a lawsuit until May. Then they might start by going after the village. The township would be responsible for that part.
Correct.
Once things happen May 1st, it would be when the deed signed, if it happened on May 2nd.
Correct.
you guys get that, the trustees?
I think council and I.
Yeah, and we can figure that out.
That's not a problem.
The only
That's how
other
it should be.
Yeah, the only other issue I had was with regard to the term. It's talking about a 4-year and then successive 4-year periods renewing. I think we
Could
could.
you reference the page you're on?
Absolutely. Page 7.
7 and 8?
Number.
Part 11, I think, should be eliminated on here.
Okay, I actually have that on my thing to amend, so when we get there, we'll cover that one.
Dan, why don't you do it right now? Since
Yeah, I might as well do that right now. Eric, was there anything else outside of that?
Well, that's what I was trying to do, and I was going to make a suggestion to council that once the property is transferred, there's no reason to renew it, but we can include a clause in there that says that the indemnifications and the responsibilities, anything that's going to go beyond that period of time, will continue on. So, for
Correct.
example,
You can scratch almost that whole paragraph plus the following paragraph on the other page. Is that what you wanted to do, Dan?
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to amend number 11. It would start with the word "the," obligations and terms, and go all the way into that next page 8 and end with property. So basically that whole paragraph. And when we say, which shall be the last date on which the village or township executes this agreement on May 1st, 2022.
My point is, I think we want to make sure that there's some, even though the property's been transferred, there's still some responsibilities that are going to take place, because what happens if somebody, again, going back to the indemnification, if somebody's injured and they don't file a lawsuit for a year later, we want to just make sure that the responsibilities are continuing and those obligations are continuing.
That's confirmed.
Well, I think by you saying to add that covers that, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, council and I can work out that. I just want to make sure there was no issue. I didn't know why there was the 4-year successive. Just make it
That
sure.
don't belong.
Yep, that's fine.
So are we making those changes now, so we don't have to?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, what we're going to, basically what we can do at the 7 o'clock meeting is approve it subject to final attorney modifications, and that's on both sides, and essentially incorporating the discussions we had in the workshop.
All right, I would like to go to page 2 and take a look at another part that would be needing to be amended. It would be the third whereas down in parentheses where it says including the direct sale or lease of single township road district property. That should either be eliminated altogether, or it should say including the direct sale or lease of any Homer Township property, period. So that is the way I would like to have that amended, to say in parentheses, including the direct sale or lease of any Homer Township property, period.
Just the property, right? Not the road?
So we would cross out single, put any Homer, and then we would also cross out road district.
Cross out single.
Yeah.
The only reason that's there is I think it's a quote from the statute.
From what?
From the actual township code, that's the actual, from the
It's
statute.
a-
It says it
Right, but we're
property,
Right.
parentheses, or a single township is correct.
but it doesn't need to be in there.
Sometimes,
We can take it out.
That's fine.
Okay. The next one would be on page 6. So if we go to page 6, and that would be at the top, letter B, the last word where it says generally needs to be crossed out, and a period should be after property.
Just out of curiosity, the term generally at the end, what was the reasoning? What does that cover? Is that something we don't know about that covers?
Generally.
Like all-inclusive?
So it's kind of just covering all our bases that way?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
leave
Can we
that.
use all-inclusive?
So you're saying take it out?
Generally.
Is that okay to remove? That's fine, we can remove that.
I guess I agree with Dan. I kind of, that leaves open for interpretation, I guess, yeah.
Okay. Are we all okay with that?
Yeah.
We're good with
Okay,
that,
next
Dan.
one would be on page 7, starting with number 10. It should actually say remedy to start with. And what I would like to see in here is similar to what we had agreed upon with the road district. And where, at the end, what it would basically say is, and the village of Homer Glen, if agreed to settle, if any disagreements evolve from this IGA, Homer Town will be settled through the expedited arbitration process. So if there's any disagreement down the road, we're not, again, having to get lawyers on both sides and 2 years of continuances. We would settle the indifference through 90 days of expedited arbitration.
No different than what we did with the road district IGA.
Hold on one second. So this is paragraph 10 you're talking about?
Yes.
This is simply a severability clause. What that means is that, say for example, a citizen took this to court and said, hey, we don't think that, hold on a second, that what it's saying is if a citizen took this to court and a judge said, you know what, you're right, paragraph number 6 isn't valid. That doesn't throw out the whole agreement then. It's simply saying, okay, we can carve that out. We're still going to keep proceeding with this agreement. That has nothing to do with disputes between the parties. This is just simply kind of make sure that...
So let's move it down, and you can create another number then that would obviously fall under, which would be, I don't know, in this list, whatever you want the number to be, so it's added. But that verbiage should definitely be in there to protect both the township and the village.
Understood?
The next thing, and the last thing, on number 11, the last sentence, after the first words of the term, after agreement in the first sentence, where it says the obligations in terms of the agreement shall continue in effect, which you addressed earlier, all the way to where it says property, that should be stricken from this.
Which paragraph, I'm sorry?
It would be on page 7. It's the last sentence on page 7, all the way into where the paragraph ends on page 8.
The obligations in terms of the agreement shall continue in effect for a term of 4 years from, continued on to page 8. Effective date and shall automatically, you want all that stricken?
And the reason for that, we're taking possession, so there doesn't need it to be a successor for, there's no terms necessary.
Okay.
And to clarify, for section 11 on here, it will just be, we'll keep the first sentence.
Correct.
And then delete the rest.
I would like it to have the date on, at the end of the first sentence where it says on May 1st, 2022, just for clarification.
And to clarify further, the effective date of the agreement is obviously when the parties sign and the commencement date, which are the different
Okay.
dates, is on May 1st when we actually transfer the.
Understood. Yes, so to answer your question, yes, to keep number 11, that first sentence in there. And then from after agreement, where it says agreement period, then from the all the way into the second page and ending with property period, it would be stricken.
But then we're going to need to add that additional language that says the obligations will remain in effect. Correct.
Yeah. And I'll just note, in part 9 on page 7, the last sentence, to start with finally, the last sentence, paragraph finally ends with property, we will strike that. That was it. That should not be.
I was going to ask about that one as well.
Okay.
All right.
That's it, as
That's
far
it.
as I have for amendments.
Okay, is my board clear about what everybody real clear? So I would think it's time for me to ask my board for a vote to proceed, because we're going to have to proceed with an actual ordinance on Monday. Our meeting's Monday. So clerk, do you want to call the roll? Or first, we need a motion to proceed. Yes, at your meeting, then we'll create an ordinance and vote for that on Monday, and then when we got to the 22nd, that's the date that we're having the special meeting, and then once that's over with, it'll be all moving forward. Because I'm sure most of the people in Homer Glen want the parks. So, anyway, thank you guys very much for all the hard work you guys put in, you know, mayor and trustees, and, you know, God bless you as the lawyer, our lawyer. I mean, it's been a long haul, and everyone's done a good job, so thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Balich, for giving us this opportunity. I appreciate it.
No, I think that we all can agree that we see good things coming from this in the future, and there's so much potential with this property.
Potential.
And going the direction that we really want to go with the village. So thank you, everybody, for coming to an agreement on this. I think this is very good for us. Thank you.
Agree?
Thanks, Steve. Okay, next would be public comments. So this would be on the township about the parks. Is there anyone up there?
No public comment for committee of the whole.
Okay. All right, then I would need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That part of the thing adjourned.
Yeah, but I'll tell you.
Okay.